Let me ask you something. When was the last time you woke up and thought, today, I'm going to make myself the priority? Not your job, not your relationships, not scrolling through social media, comparing yourself to people you don't even know, but you. If your answer is never, or I can't remember, then we've got a problem. Because here's the truth. The life you want, the happiness you crave, the confidence you admire in others, it doesn't come from fixing the world around you. It comes from focusing on you. Energy is everything. It fuels your motivation, your focus, and your ability to take action. Yet so many people give their energy away without even realizing it. Every conversation you have, every environment you spend time in, and every habit you engage in either adds to your energy or drains it. The reality is that most people are walking around exhausted, not because they're physically tired, but because they've allowed too many external factors to deplete them mentally and emotionally. They're saying yes to things they don't want to do, surrounding themselves with people who bring negativity, and investing their time in activities that don't serve them. If you want to truly transform your life, you need to start treating your energy like a limited resource, because it is. The first step in protecting your energy is becoming aware of what drains it. Think about how you feel after spending time with certain people. Do you leave a conversation feeling inspired, motivated, and ready to take on the world, or do you feel exhausted, frustrated, and questioning yourself? The people in your life play a huge role in your overall well-being. Some people uplift you, challenge you in the right ways, and encourage you to grow. Others pull you into their drama, fill your mind with doubt, or constantly focus on the negative. You have to be ruthless about who gets access to you. If someone consistently leaves you feeling drained, it's time to step back. This doesn't mean you have to cut people off entirely, but it does mean you need to create boundaries. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your energy, especially if they don't contribute anything positive to your life. Another major energy drain is constantly seeking approval and validation from others. When you base your decisions on what other people think, you're allowing them to dictate how you feel about yourself. You're giving your energy away to opinions that don't matter. The truth is, no matter what you do, someone will always have something to say. You cannot live your life trying to please everyone, because in the process, you'll lose yourself. Instead of focusing on what others think, start focusing on what feels right for you. When you prioritize your own needs and goals, you'll notice a massive shift in your energy levels. You'll stop feeling depleted because you're no longer trying to fit into expectations that don't align with who you truly are. Your environment also plays a huge role in your energy. Look around at where you spend most of your time. Is it a space that inspires and motivates you, or is it cluttered, chaotic, and filled with distractions? The spaces you inhabit affect your mindset more than you realize. If you're constantly surrounded by noise, mess, and disorganization, your mind will reflect that. Make it a priority to create an environment that fuels your energy rather than drains it. This applies not just to physical spaces, but also to digital spaces. Pay attention to the content you consume daily. Are you spending hours scrolling through negativity on social media? Are you watching news that fills you with fear and anxiety? Everything you take in has an impact on your energy. Be intentional about what you allow into your mind. Another thing that depletes energy is overcommitting and saying yes to everything. Too many people stretch themselves too thin because they're afraid of disappointing others. They say yes to plans they don't want to go to, take on work they don't have time for, and agree to favors out of guilt. The problem with this is that every time you say yes to something that drains you, you're saying no to something that could actually energize you. You need to get comfortable with saying no. No is not selfish. No is self-care. The more you protect your time and energy, the more you have to give to the things that actually matter. One of the most powerful ways to protect your energy is by being intentional with your time. The way you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. If the first thing you do in the morning is grab your phone and start scrolling, you're already giving your energy away before you've even done anything for yourself. Instead, take control of your mornings, set a routine that centers you, whether that's reading, journaling, exercising, or simply sitting in silence for a few minutes. Do something that fills you up before the world starts pulling at you. Your morning should be your time to recharge, not a time to let external factors dictate your mood. At the end of the day, your energy is your responsibility. No one else is going to protect it for you. If you constantly feel drained, it's time to take a hard look at where your energy is going. Who are you giving it to? What are you spending it on? Once you start being intentional about where you invest your energy, you'll notice a shift in how you feel. You'll have more clarity, more motivation, and most importantly, more control over your life. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing they need permission to go after what they want. They hesitate, they second guess themselves, and they wait for someone else to validate their dreams before they take action. This mindset is exactly what keeps most people stuck. If you constantly look to others for approval, you're handing over control of your life. The reality is, not everyone is going to understand your vision, and that's okay. Your dreams are yours for a reason, and they don't need to make sense to anyone else. The more time you spend explaining yourself to people who don't get it, the more energy you waste that could be used to actually make progress. Think about how often people allow the opinions of others to dictate their decisions. Someone might have a business idea, but instead of taking the first step, they ask their family and friends for input. If those people don't see the vision, they'll say things like, "Are you sure that's a good idea?" Or, "What if it doesn't work?" Suddenly, doubt creeps in, and that person convinces themselves it's safer to stay where they are. This happens all the time. People abandon their goals, not because they lack ability, but because they let outside voices plant seeds of uncertainty. But here's the truth. The people you're seeking approval from are often the ones who have never taken a risk themselves. They see the world through the lens of their own fears, limitations, and past failures. Their doubt has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. This is why it's crucial to stop justifying your goals to those who don't understand them. If you have a vision for your life, it's because you are meant to pursue it. Not everyone will support it, and that's fine. In fact, it's expected. The higher you aim, the more resistance you'll face. Some people will doubt you because they can't imagine themselves doing what you're about to do. Others might even feel threatened by your growth because it reminds them of their own inaction. If you let their opinions shape your choices, you'll stay stuck in the same place forever. Instead of explaining yourself, focus on showing results. Let your success be the proof. Another reason people feel the need to justify their goals is because they fear judgment. They don't want to be seen as different or unrealistic. But the truth is, every person who has ever accomplished something great was judged at some point. Every entrepreneur, artist, athlete, and innovator has faced criticism. If they had stopped to justify their dreams to every doubter, they would have never moved forward. The key difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck is simple. Successful people trust themselves. They don't waste time convincing others of their vision. They take action despite the doubts, despite the criticism, and despite the uncertainty. It's also important to recognize that people's opinions change. The same people who doubt you today will be the ones asking for advice when you succeed. This happens all the time. When you're just starting, people will question you. They'll tell you to be realistic, to play it safe, to not take risks. But once you prove them wrong, they'll act as if they always believed in you. That's why their opinions should never hold weight in your decisions. You can't live your life based on temporary judgments. What matters is that you believe in yourself enough to keep going, even when no one else does. Another factor to consider is that justifying your goals takes energy away from actually achieving them. Instead of spending time explaining why you want to do something, use that time to take action. Every moment you spend defending your dreams is a moment you could be making progress. You don't need to talk about your plans, just execute them. Let your results speak for themselves. The most successful people aren't the ones constantly explaining what they're going to do. They're the ones silently working and letting their achievements do the talking. It's also important to remember that you are in control of your own life. No one else is living it for you. The people whose opinions you're worried about won't have to deal with the consequences of you not pursuing your dreams. You will. You're the one who will wake up years from now either proud that you took a chance or regretful that you let fear hold you back. The only way to avoid that regret is to stop waiting for approval and start taking action now. You owe it to yourself to go after what you want, regardless of who understands it. Your vision was given to you, not to them. The sooner you stop justifying your goals and start believing in them, the sooner you'll start making real progress. Personal growth is not something that happens by accident. It requires intention, consistency, and commitment. Too many people go through life hoping that one day things will magically change for them. They wait for motivation to strike, for circumstances to align, or for someone else to push them forward. But the truth is, if you don't make your growth a priority, no one else will. Your dreams, your success, and your happiness depend on the habits and choices you make every single day. Growth is not something you do when it's convenient. It has to be non-negotiable. One of the biggest reasons people fail to grow is because they treat personal development as an optional activity rather than a necessity. They put their jobs, their relationships, and their daily responsibilities ahead of their own self-improvement. They say things like, "I don't have time to read," or "I'm too busy to exercise," or "I'll start working on my goals when life slows down." But life never slows down. There will always be distractions, obligations, and unexpected challenges. If you don't carve out time for your growth, it won't happen. Successful people don't wait for the perfect moment to invest in themselves. They create the time, even when it's inconvenient. Growth starts with what you feed your mind. The content you consume shapes your beliefs, your mindset, and your ability to take action. If you're constantly filling your mind with negativity, whether it's through social media, news, or toxic conversations, you're conditioning yourself to stay stuck. Instead, you need to surround yourself with information that expands your thinking and pushes you forward. Read books that challenge you. Listen to podcasts that inspire you. Engage with people who encourage growth. Every single day, you should be consuming something that fuels your personal development. You don't have to spend hours doing this. Even 10 minutes a day of intentional learning can make a huge difference over time. Another crucial part of making growth non-negotiable is taking care of your body. Your physical health directly impacts your energy levels, focus, and ability to perform at your best. If you're constantly tired, sluggish, or stressed, it's going to be nearly impossible to stay disciplined with your goals. Regular exercise, proper nutrition, and quality sleep are not luxuries. They're requirements for a high-performance life. The way you treat your body sends a message to yourself about how much you value your potential. When you prioritize your health, you're reinforcing the belief that you are worthy of success and happiness. One of the most powerful tools for personal growth is self-discipline. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. If you only take action when you feel like it, you'll never be consistent. The people who achieve great things aren't always motivated. They're disciplined. They show up even when they don't want to. They do the work even when it's uncomfortable. They stick to their commitments even when no one is watching. If you want to grow, you have to build the habit of doing what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel in the moment. Your environment also plays a massive role in your growth. If you're surrounded by people who complain, make excuses, and resist change, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to stay committed to your own self-improvement. The people in your life should challenge you to be better, not keep you stuck. If your current circle doesn't support your growth, it's time to seek out new influences. This doesn't mean you need to cut people off completely, but it does mean you need to be intentional about who has access to your time and energy. Find mentors, join communities, and build relationships with people who push you to grow. Another key factor in making growth a priority is setting clear goals. If you don't have a vision for where you want to go, it's easy to stay in the same place. Your goals should be specific, measurable, and actionable. Instead of saying, I want to be better, define exactly what that means. Do you want to improve your financial situation, learn a new skill, develop more confidence? Once you're clear on what you want, create a plan to get there. Break your goals into small, manageable steps and take action daily. Growth doesn't happen overnight, but consistent effort compounds over time. The only way to ensure continuous growth is to take full responsibility for it. No one else is going to push you. No one else is going to do the work for you. You have to decide that your development is a top priority and commit to it no matter what. When you make personal growth non-negotiable, every area of your life improves. Your mindset, your confidence, your relationships, and your success. One of the biggest reasons people feel unfulfilled and stuck in life is because they spend too much time focusing on others instead of themselves. They compare their progress to what everyone else is doing, constantly seeking validation and approval and worrying about how they measure up. This habit is exhausting, draining, and completely unproductive. When you're always looking at someone else's path, you lose sight of your own. The truth is, the only person you should be competing with is the person you were yesterday. Real transformation happens when you shift your focus away from external distractions and start investing that energy into yourself. Comparison is one of the biggest thieves of happiness. It creates unnecessary pressure and makes you feel like you're behind, even when you're not. In today's world, social media has made it even worse. People scroll through highlight reels of others' lives, seeing success, wealth, and happiness, and immediately feel like they're not doing enough. But what most don't realize is that they are comparing their behind-the-scenes struggles to someone else's best moments. No one posts their failures, their doubts, or their insecurities. What you see online is a carefully curated version of reality, not the full picture. The moment you stop comparing yourself to others and start focusing on your own journey, you take back control of your confidence and happiness. Another reason people struggle with focusing on themselves is because they crave validation. They want to be liked, accepted, and approved of by others, but living for validation is one of the fastest ways to lose yourself. When you make decisions based on what other people think, you give away your power. You start shaping your life around meeting expectations instead of doing what actually fulfills you. The hard truth is, no matter what you do, people will always have opinions. Some will support you, some will doubt you, and some won't care at all. If you spend your life chasing approval, you'll always be at the mercy of other people's opinions. The real power comes from learning to validate yourself, knowing that your dreams, goals, and choices are enough, even if no one else understands them. Focusing on yourself means taking responsibility for your growth. Too often, people look at others and feel envious of their success without realizing the work that went into it. Instead of feeling inspired, they feel discouraged as if they're missing something. But success isn't something that just happens to people. It's built through effort, discipline, and consistency. The time and energy spent watching what others are doing could be used to improve yourself. The most successful people in the world don't waste time comparing themselves to others because they're too busy working on their own craft. They stay in their lane, commit to their vision, and take daily action. When you shift your focus to what you can control, your habits, mindset, and effort, you start making real progress. A major part of focusing on yourself is learning to say no to distractions that don't serve your growth. People often overcommit, take on responsibilities that drain them, or surround themselves with individuals who don't align with their goals. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your vision, you are saying no to your own priorities. Setting boundaries is crucial. You don't need to explain or justify why you're putting yourself first. If something doesn't contribute to your growth, happiness, or success, it's okay to walk away from it. Protecting your time and energy is not selfish, it's necessary. Another key to shifting focus inward is embracing personal accountability. It's easy to blame circumstances, other people, or bad luck for where you are in life. But the moment you take full ownership of your situation, everything changes. When you stop making excuses and start taking responsibility, you put yourself in the driver's seat. No one else is responsible for your success, happiness, or confidence. You are. This doesn't mean you have to do everything alone, but it does mean that your growth is in your hands. Every choice you make, how you spend your time, the habits you build, the mindset you cultivate, shapes your future. When you stop seeking external validation, stop comparing your journey to others, and stop worrying about things outside your control, you create space to truly grow. When you focus on yourself, you gain clarity, confidence, and a sense of purpose that no amount of external approval can provide. One of the most powerful things you can do in life is learn to trust yourself. Too many people hesitate, overthink, and doubt their own abilities because they are afraid of making mistakes. They seek endless reassurance, second-guess their decisions, and allow fear to keep them stuck. But the truth is, if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. Confidence is not something you're born with, it's something you build through action. The more you trust yourself, the more capable you become, and the easier it gets to take risks, make decisions, and move forward without fear. The reason so many people struggle with self-trust is because they rely too much on external validation. They want other people to confirm that they're making the right choices. But the problem with constantly looking for approval is that it weakens your ability to listen to your own instincts. You end up prioritizing other people's opinions over your own, and before you know it, you're living a life that doesn't even feel like yours. The most successful and fulfilled people aren't the ones who always get it right. They're the ones who are willing to make decisions, adjust when necessary, and keep going despite uncertainty. Building self-trust starts with keeping promises to yourself. Every time you say you're going to do something and follow through, you reinforce the belief that you can rely on yourself. But when you constantly break commitments to yourself, whether it's skipping workouts, procrastinating on goals, or making excuses, you send a message to your brain that you can't be trusted. If you want to strengthen your confidence, start small. Set a goal, follow through, and prove to yourself that you can be counted on. Over time, this creates a strong foundation of self-trust that allows you to take on bigger challenges. Another key part of trusting yourself is understanding that failure is not something to fear, it's something to embrace. People who don't trust themselves are often terrified of making mistakes because they see failure as proof that they're not good enough. But the reality is, failure is simply feedback. It's a lesson, not a life sentence. Every successful person has failed, often more times than they've succeeded. The difference is they didn't let those failures define them. They learned from them, adjusted, and kept going. When you trust yourself, you stop seeing mistakes as disasters and start seeing them as opportunities to grow. A big reason people struggle with self-trust is because they allow negative self-talk to control them. The mind is powerful, and if you constantly tell yourself you're not smart enough, not talented enough, or not capable enough, you'll start believing it. The good news is, just as negative thoughts can break your confidence, positive thoughts can build it. Pay attention to your inner dialogue. When doubt creeps in, challenge it. Replace self-criticism with self-encouragement. Instead of saying, I can't do this, say, I can figure this out. Instead of saying, I'm not ready, say, I'm learning. Shifting your mindset in this way makes a massive difference in how you see yourself and what you believe you're capable of. Another major factor in building self-trust is taking action even when you don't have all the answers. Many people get stuck in analysis paralysis, overthinking every decision because they're afraid of getting it wrong. But the reality is there is no perfect decision. The only way to know if something will work is to try it. Action leads to clarity. The more you do, the more you learn, and the more confident you become in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. The best way to overcome fear is to take action despite it. Trust isn't built by waiting until you feel ready. It's built by moving forward, even when you're uncertain. Self-trust also comes from surrounding yourself with the right people. If you're constantly around people who doubt you, criticize you, or bring negativity into your life, it will be much harder to trust yourself. On the other hand, being around supportive, growth-minded people reinforces your confidence. This doesn't mean you need external validation, but having a positive environment makes a difference. Find mentors, friends, and communities that uplift you. The more you surround yourself with people who believe in you, the easier it becomes to believe in yourself. At the end of the day, trusting yourself is about giving yourself permission to take up space, make decisions, and go after what you want, without needing approval from anyone else. Confidence isn't about being perfect. It's about knowing that no matter what happens, you can handle it. One of the most important lessons in life is learning how to be patient with your own progress. Too often people expect instant results and get frustrated when things don't happen as quickly as they'd like. They set goals, start working toward them, and when they don't see immediate success, they begin to doubt themselves. This impatience leads to frustration, and frustration leads to giving up. The truth is, meaningful growth takes time. No one achieves lasting success overnight, and the people who do well in life are the ones who understand that consistency is far more important than speed. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with patience is because they compare their progress to others. Social media has made it incredibly easy to see what everyone else is doing. And when people see someone else achieving success faster, they start to feel like they're falling behind. But what they don't realize is that they're only seeing the finished product, not the years of effort that went into it. Every successful person has had moments of struggle, doubt, and failure. The difference is that they kept going even when progress was slow. When you stop comparing your timeline to others and focus on your own journey, you free yourself from unnecessary stress and allow yourself to grow at your own pace. Another reason patience is so important is because real transformation happens gradually. Every small action you take, every decision you make, and every habit you build adds up over time. If you go to the gym once, you won't see a difference. If you go consistently for 6 months, the results will be obvious. The same principle applies to every area of life. Whether it's building a career, improving your mindset, or working on personal growth, the people who succeed aren't necessarily the most talented. They're the ones who show up every day, put in the work, and trust that the results will come. One of the best ways to develop patience is to shift your focus from the outcome to the process. When you're too fixated on the end result, it's easy to get discouraged if things don't happen right away. But when you learn to appreciate the small wins along the way, the journey becomes much more enjoyable. Every step forward, no matter how small, is still progress. Instead of constantly thinking about how far you have to go, remind yourself of how far you've already come. Celebrate the small victories because they are proof that you're moving in the right direction. Another key to developing patience is learning how to embrace discomfort. Growth is never easy, and there will be times when it feels like nothing is working. But those moments of struggle are actually signs that you're evolving. When things get tough, most people assume they're doing something wrong and start looking for shortcuts. But shortcuts rarely lead to lasting success. The real breakthroughs happen when you push through the hard moments instead of running from them. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to grow stronger, more resilient, and more capable. Patience is also about trusting yourself. When things aren't happening as quickly as you'd like, it's easy to start doubting your abilities. But just because progress is slow doesn't mean you're failing. Some of the greatest accomplishments in history took years, even decades to achieve. Success is not about how fast you get there. It's about staying committed even when the journey feels long. If you keep showing up, keep putting in the effort, and keep believing in yourself, you will get there. Another important part of patience is understanding that setbacks are a natural part of the process. Too many people see setbacks as a sign that they should quit, but in reality, setbacks are simply part of the journey. No one succeeds without facing obstacles along the way. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is how they respond to challenges. Instead of seeing setbacks as failures, see them as lessons. Every obstacle is teaching you something that will help you in the future. When you learn to embrace setbacks instead of fearing them, you become unstoppable. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that patience means waiting passively for things to happen. That's not patience. That's procrastination. True patience is about continuing to take action even when you don't see immediate results. It's about showing up every day, putting in the work, and trusting that the effort you put in today will pay off in the future. Growth is not about perfection. It's about consistency. The people who succeed aren't the ones who get everything right the first time. They're the ones who refuse to quit.